¿Qué tal? Muy buenas a todos, bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo aquí en TransiZionate. Hoy os traigo un vídeo diferente. Hoy vamos a reaccionar a un vídeo de un terapeuta, psicólogo de traders llamado Randy Howell, que tiene su propio canal de YouTube. Y estaba viendo vídeos de trading por ahí, como suelo hacer en YouTube, entre otros vídeos. Y me encontré con este canal de Randy Howell, vi un par de vídeos suyos y la verdad que este último me pareció muy interesante, muy apropiado y además encajaba muy bien con la etapa de pérdidas que estoy atravesando actualmente y explica muy bien por qué reaccionamos así a las pérdidas, por qué muchas veces hacemos trading de revancha, por qué nos sentimos así. Nos da un par de tips para cómo bajar revoluciones y manejarnos en esta incertidumbre que es el trading. Así que, sin más, vamos al ordenador a reaccionar a este vídeo.
Before we get anywhere, let's just make sure that we're talking with each.
Bueno, pues aquí tenemos el vídeo de Randy Howell. Fijaos que se titula Dominando, la habilidad esencial de tomar pérdidas. Y aquí abajo dice que para ganar en trading debes convertirte en un perdedor experto. La verdad es que estoy totalmente de acuerdo y creo que es una introducción excelente para todo lo que va a tratar. Estad muy atentos.
One another. If you can hear me, please go into your chat box or your question box and just simply type a Y, okay? And the joke is, of course, if you can't, it's so hard to believe that. How do you go about winning in trading? There are a lot of people in this audience who have done very well. They have won the game. They have, whether or not it's in corporate, whether or not it's in business, they have a winning formula that they use, and they got into trading and something blew up. And almost every one of these people really wants to win. Okay? And they're good at having done that, whether or not it's athletics, whether or not it's business, whatever. And the deal is, what is it? What is it?
Bueno, aquí, como veis, está introduciendo que muchas personas que tienen éxito en sus profesiones, ya sean médicos, atletas, deportistas de alto nivel, de cualquier otra competencia, abogados, lo que sea, han tenido éxito en sus competencias con una serie de habilidades y están intentando hacer trading y están intentando ganar como han hecho en sus profesiones, ¿de acuerdo? Entonces, bueno, vamos a ver las dificultades que pueden encontrar todas estas personas también.
Because, ultimately, is you're going to fail your way to success in trading. And yet, what happens is we just don't like losing. Why is this? The deal is this, man, we want to be winners. Who wants to be a loser? I remember when I was in elementary school and middle school, is that I loved baseball and I was really good at it. And what happens is I often ended up being one of the captains that would choose people to be on their team, okay? And all these people who were terrible baseball players would beg for me to end up calling on them and stuff like that. But at the same time, I wanted to win. So I didn't choose them. I chose really good hitters, good people I could really trust. And it was right there at the very genetic foundation. Kid sitting there and he wants to win. He doesn't want to be altruistic. He doesn't want to take Eddie, the guy who had a limp, who couldn't do very much, that I did, in fact, get on my team a number of times. The thing is, you get there, you want to win. And it's how you see yourself. And man, the one thing you don't want to do is lose. Most people I talk to in trading hate losing. It just goes against my nature. And that's where the default programming is there is a very good chance that we're going to be exploring about how in the world did your hate of losing end up showing up in trading and just absolutely just clobbering the potential you have as a trader. So we want to take a look at that.
Fijaos lo que ha dicho. Todo el mundo quiere ganar, ¿vale? Eso es lo que comenta. Todo el mundo quiere ganar desde que somos pequeños. Comentaba su época jugando al béisbol. Él quería elegir a los mejores bateadores, a los mejores jugadores, porque nadie quiere perder. Sobre todo siendo mayores o siendo pequeños. Sobre todo ya desde pequeños se nos programa, se nos predetermina, como dice él ahora, para querer ganar siempre. Y esto en el trading ocurre igual. En el trading no queremos perder, para nada. Y eso es nuestra mayor, el mayor hándicap que podemos tener, porque en el trading vamos a perder. Ahora lo iremos viendo. ¿Por qué? Porque hay incertidumbre. Ahora, como digo, lo veremos. Pero si quieres ganar en trading, tienes que aprender a perder. Por tanto, esta es la premisa básica. Desde pequeños queremos ganar en todo lo que hacemos, ¿vale? En los deportes, en el trabajo, en el mundo de la empresa, en lo que sea. Queremos ganar, no queremos perder. Y esto es una predeterminación que llevamos, que traemos al trading.
Yet, it comes down to it is hating to lose and wanting to win. I gotta win. I gotta win. It's going to get you in trouble. And again, it's that success formula that has been developed over decades in other businesses and other professions that gets you there, because winning looks like you truly controlling outcome. At the very core of our being, of our caveman being, we want to control outcome. In evolutionary talk, you would say that we want to control environment. We don't want to be the one that give up our lives for somebody else. We want to be the one that can take life, because when we have the power like that, we're controlling the outcome of our lives. That's really good for an animal, but it's not good for the world that we live in now. So we get it. What we go is, okay, the success formula works well in other areas of your life, but what's getting me in trouble here? What on earth is getting me in trouble here? Because what happens is that...
Bueno, lo que está diciendo aquí es que en el trading odiar perder, ¿vale? Y querer ganar siempre te mete en problemas. En otras fórmulas, en otros aspectos de la vida, el hecho de querer siempre ganar y odiar perder, como por ejemplo le ocurría le ocurre a nuestro cerebro primitivo, que es donde fue creado con nuestros ancestros que vivían para sobrevivir, eso estaba bien, porque ellos querían ganar. ¿Qué era para ellos ganar? Sobrevivir un día más, estar ahí un día más. Pero esto en el trading, esta fórmula que nos ha funcionado en ese ámbito, y no en un ámbito tan antiguo, sino en ámbitos donde podemos llegar a controlar el resultado de nuestras decisiones, es en el mundo, por ejemplo, de los estudios. Si estudio, aprobar el examen. Si me esfuerzo y trabajo más, probablemente acabaré consiguiendo un ascenso. Pues esta fórmula del éxito en otras partes de la vida no funciona en trading, ¿vale? ¿Qué es diferente en el trading? Pues vamos a verlo.
Now. So we get it. Because your life is getting me in trouble. And often it shows you people get angry. And often underneath that anger is fear. Because here's the deal. And revenge trading is fed by that trade going against you. And all of a sudden what happens is that, you know, that trade going against you is not just about money. Remember, your caveman ancestors had no clue what money was. If you gave them a stack of bills, they wouldn't know what to do with it. But they knew what to do with life. Money became a symbolic representation of the power to survive. And what happens is in revenge trading, not wanting to lose, and that trade going against you, and particularly after you've taken a couple of losses, what happens is that it feels like the old saber-toothed tiger is bearing down on you with its teeth, and you're going to have to fight for your life. That's revenge trading. What you just had was ancient survival instincts taking over the brain, creating the mind that's engaging uncertainty. And the deal is at that particular moment, you can intellectually know that you need to be a good loser to be a winner. But until you come to the moment of solving that riddle about, okay, my genetics that I've inherited for millions of years that produce the success of our species, wanting to win, wanting to survive, is totally against you now that you're trading and you're working with probability.
Fijaos, nuestros ancestros, su mayor preocupación era sobrevivir un día más, ¿vale? Su miedo era... ¿Cuál era su miedo? El tigre dientes de sable, que comenta Rance Howell aquí, que les podía matar. Nosotros, con la creación del dinero, asemejamos esa sensación de supervivencia, el dientes de sable de antes, ahora mismo es el hecho de perder dinero. Uno de los mayores miedos hoy en día, ¿cuál es? Perder dinero y poder caer en la quiebra. Entonces, el hecho de perder dinero, que se asemeje a esa sensación de que nos ataca un dientes de sable, ya nos pone en una posición de total desventaja.
Have had the illusion of control. But the thing is he couldn't accept probability because the probability was that he's going to die. So what happened is he created this mask that allowed him to go through anything with the belief he was going to win, and he did not want to lose. So we're getting there, and we're getting it is that not wanting to lose comes genetically out of it. So
Y precisamente ese es la clave de todo. Nuestro cerebro se creó hace muchos, muchos años con nuestros ancestros y se diseñó para precisamente eso, querer siempre ganar, que consistía en querer siempre sobrevivir, y eso nos ha traído a que el cerebro no esté preparado para el trading, porque, como hemos visto, y al final el trading es un mundo de probabilidades donde tenemos que aceptar las pérdidas. Ellos no podían permitirse aceptar la pérdida porque la pérdida era perder la vida. Entonces solo querían ganar, es obvio.
here's the deal, though. What we're going to do is take a look at it and go, you know something? That hating to lose really does come from two places. And in particular, it comes from the competitive society in which I'm embedded. And I used to think it was the United States, but what I've discovered, it's the entire world. It's highly competitive, and we grow up. We needed to win. We needed to win. I was talking to a guy today. He lives in Calgary, Canada, and he grew up in rural Kansas. And what happens is, wasn't very many people there, and the only thing there was to shine around there was hockey, was a few other things. And what happened is, you had to win. You had to win to be good. And the deal is like he had to win. And if he didn't win, there was profound trouble. Suddenly, his view of his ability to hold status, to be respected in where he was growing up, totally fell apart. And that is instinctual, friends. He had to win. And then what happened with him is his parents really didn't schmooze up to the coaches. So sometimes this guy was not picked on the team because the parents didn't schmooze enough. And he would have to pay in the B leagues. Well, he didn't want that. He didn't like that losing. He wanted to be the best. Okay? Now that's growing up in a competitive society. Okay? And taking on the idea is you got to win. In the place that I played football in high school, there was a sign on our dressing room. And that sign said, winners never lose and losers never win. Can you see how embedded it is into our culture? And again,
Fijaos, importantísimo. Ahora nos explica Ranch de dónde viene el hecho de odiar las pérdidas. Y viene de principalmente dos aspectos. El primero de ellos, que es el que explica en esta diapositiva, es que el hecho de odiar las pérdidas viene de una sociedad competitiva en la que vivimos, ¿vale? Es todo acerca de ganar y perder, ¿vale? Cuenta la historia de un chico, cuenta también está contando ahora una historia propia en la que en los camerinos y dice que los ganadores nunca pierden y que los perdedores nunca ganan. Es una narrativa muy peligrosa en mi opinión porque nos lleva a una sociedad en la que solo es posible ganar. El fracaso no está bien visto, sobre todo, él dice en Estados Unidos, sobre todo, pero yo no estoy muy de acuerdo. Creo que es más, sobre todo en la cultura latina, o puede ser en España, en países de Latinoamérica, que está muy mal visto el hecho de fracasar. De que lo importante es ganar, que perder está mal, se ha arraigado en nuestro subconsciente, se ha arraigado en todos nosotros y es el principal, diría yo. Él dice que hay otro más, pero para mí yo creo que es el principal motivo por el que odiamos perder y por el que perder en el trading también está mal visto.
again, not just American, Canadian, Mexican, Australian, Japanese, Chinese, British, the whole the whole lot of us. And yet at the same time, we want to be number one, and yet at the same time is that that not isn't necessarily the way it's going to work. But at the core of this I want you to take a look at this painting. This could have been 40, 50,000 years ago. A blink in the eye of evolutionary time. Is that big bears hunted us? They also liked the same kind of places we did. They liked the same caves. They liked all that stuff. And those bears are big. Now, those were just regular critters in the environment that our ancestors lived in. So what do you think is going to happen when you're programmed, when an animal like that starts going against you and it starts running at you and stuff like that? What do you think is going to happen? Man, you're going to have to fight for your life. And what I ask of you, how many of you, when the trade's gone against you and you've taken some losses and you're seeing, oh my God, the loss is building, who in here has not felt like his life was being threatened? I can't lose. I can't allow that. Yeah. And that just amplifies the loss. And yet, this right here, remember, it wasn't too many years ago, even in the United States, that grizzly bears that can get up to 1,200 pounds and are fearless and do not fear humans at all, they were all over the West. All over the West. Now you have to go to places like Yellowstone and stuff like that to be able to see one. They were exterminated. We did that because they were a threat to our existence. Now, that's the same threat that you're bringing into the trading from your mind.
Fijaos, la otra causa o el otro aspecto por el que proviene ese hecho de que odiemos las pérdidas viene, además de por la programación, nuestro entorno que hemos visto, viene por nuestro cerebro primitivo, nuestra psicología que ha evolucionado a través de nuestro cerebro primitivo. Como digo, fijaos, él comenta que esta pintura puede tener en torno a 40, 50 mil de hombres de en torno a hace 40, 50 mil años. Ahí tenéis a un oso con unos cazadores que están intentando pues sobrevivir, básicamente. ¿Qué ocurre? ¿Por qué nos vienen las ganas de ganar y odiar perder? ¿Por qué lo sentimos en nuestro trading? Pues viene por lo que hemos comentado antes. Porque aquí, estos antepasados nuestros, para ellos sobrevivir un día más era ganar y no podían permitirse perder. Y eso, como hemos dicho, lo traemos al trading. Nosotros cuando esta misma situación para nosotros es que un trade se nos esté yendo en negativo, en negativo, en negativo. Si somos inexpertos, si estamos inseguros con nuestra operativa, lo que vamos a sentir es no puedo perder, tengo que cerrar o tengo que, bueno, no tengo que cerrar, tengo que meter más posiciones en contra para que se recupere porque no me puedo permitir perder porque estamos asemejando esa misma emoción de que vamos a perder la vida. Creemos que no, pero para nuestro cerebro perder dinero es como para nuestros ancestros perder la vida. Entonces no podemos permitírnoslo y estamos capaces de hacer cualquier cosa para evitar una pérdida. Y eso es lo que más cuentas, quema en el trading.
You're bringing takes a look at it is that trade goes against you. And then takes a look at it is that trade goes against you. I want you to see these two different paths. The ones from evolution of where we had to fight for our life. I mean, for survival on a weekly basis, and also growing up in a highly competitive culture where great emphasis is placed on winning. And boy, losing was a way to not get picked on the team and to be kind of pushed away because you just weren't good enough to play. That was good enough. That's also became a value judgment of you. And we all wanted to be seen as winners, and yet they were losers. And yet in trading, you have no control over winning and losing. Okay? No matter how big you are, no matter how tough you are. The trading gods just really don't care. So, what we get every time that you experience that trade going against you, you're triggering these ancient instinctual survival traits, but you're also triggering the history of growing up in a competitive culture, perhaps even in a competitive family. Okay? So we've gotten that. And again, we're
Fijaos lo
in
que ha dicho, muy importante. Ha hecho un resumen de todo lo anterior y es que la cultura competitiva en la que vivimos y el hecho de estar moldeados por un cerebro que se creó con nuestros ancestros, que se creó para sobrevivir, ese caldo es el caldo de cultivo perfecto para querer evitar pérdidas a toda costa y que cuando un trade nos va en contra queramos de cualquier manera no perder, ¿vale? Ese es el punto de partida importante. Que es necesario comprender por qué odiamos perder, ¿vale? Y para mí, la verdad me ha volado la cabeza ver este vídeo porque tiene todo el sentido. Seguimos.
that competitive society. The other day, I'm driving and I stopped behind a guy at the traffic light, and I'm looking at his vanity plates, and it says "Got to be number one." Okay, now I have no doubt that if you're in a sales organization and you have that warrior instinct, you're going out and you're highly competitive and you're getting revved up and you're going harder and harder and harder, and you're going to break through the wall, you're going to break through the rejection, you're going to make that sell. That kind that kind of mind blows up in trading. So now we've gotten this mind, and people come into trading. They've been probably pretty successful in other areas. They come into trading, and what they want to duplicate the same kind of mind that they use for success in another area into trading, and then they think the formula works. And then guess what?
Ahora lo que comentaba es que vivimos en una sociedad competitiva donde todo el mundo, o la mayoría, quiere ser el número uno y muchos lo logran en sus profesiones, realizando una serie de procedimientos, protocolos, actuaciones, una fórmula en definitiva que le lleva a ese éxito. Y quieren replicar esa misma fórmula, ese mismo protocolo o actuación en el trading.
There, and the problem is very serious. That success formula doesn't work in trading. Yeah. Winning doesn't mean controlling outcome. Winning doesn't mean prestige. Winning doesn't mean mattering. Winning doesn't mean deserving. Winning in trading only means that you landed on the right side of probability relative to you. Oh, and besides that, losing only means that you landed on the wrong side of probability relative to you. Okay? Suddenly the game has changed. And by the way, this is a tip for those people. When you have a loss, a failure, okay, what I want you to do is ask 3 questions, actually 4.
Vale, antes de que empiece con las 3 preguntas, el problema que él comenta es que esta fórmula que te ha llevado a tener éxito en otras profesiones o en otros ámbitos no te va a funcionar en el trading, ¿vale? Por todos los condicionantes que tiene, el trading es muy diferente a lo que estamos acostumbrados. Y comenta algo importantísimo. En trading ganar no significa ni prestigio, ni fama, ni siquiera solamente dinero. Ganar en trading lo único que quiere decir es que estás en el lado correcto de las probabilidades, ¿vale? Es decir, que en el corto plazo has podido tener suerte y que en el largo plazo tienes un sistema ganador con el que has operado y has puesto las probabilidades a tu favor. Eso es lo que viene a decir. Y no dice nada, el hecho de que ganes, no dice nada de ti como ser humano, no eres el mejor del mundo. Y lo mismo para perder. Puede que estés en un periodo de drawdown de unos meses, incluso un año o 2 años, en el que tú has hecho las cosas bien y aún así has perdido. Eso no quiere decir que tú como humano seas un fracasado, simplemente quiere decir que has caído en el lado negativo de las probabilidades, has caído en un periodo en el que el mercado no se acopla a tu sistema, ¿vale? Esto es muy importante que lo entendáis.
The first one is this a method mistake? Did I not use my actually 4? The first one, okay, what I want you to do is ask 3 questions, actually 4. The first one is this a method mistake? Did I not use my methodology correctly? That's correctable, okay? Is it a psychological mistake? Is it something about the way you approach? Did you get too lustful? Did you get scared? Did you get angry? Whatever, that you can go in, you can say, I can work with that and I can learn how to regulate that and I can build a mind using Randy, of course, to be able to go out and do that. Or the big question is, was this just probability? Okay. And if that's the thing is, then you ask the question, would I take this trade again? Yeah. That's when you start going, okay, yeah, I lost, but it was probability. Would I take this trade again? Yeah. It was a good trade. It met the rules of my entry. So we're getting at this and we're going, okay, boy, there is a little difference. It is a little difference.
Fijaos lo que comenta. Cuando tengas una pérdida tienes que hacerte 3 preguntas y estad muy atentos y anotaoslas porque me parece brillante. La primera, ¿es un problema de metodología? ¿Has seguido tus reglas de trading? ¿Has aplicado tu sistema? Porque si no es así, ya tienes que no es un problema psicológico. Has perdido porque no has seguido tu propia metodología. Y eso puedes corregirlo a través de la disciplina. Segunda pregunta. ¿Has seguido tu metodología? Perfecto. Puede ser un problema psicológico. Has perdido porque tenías ansiedad, tenías miedo, tenías codicia y eso te ha llevado a sobreoperar. En definitiva, un problema psicológico también podría solventarse. Pero si metodológicamente todo ha estado bien, has operado bien, de acuerdo a tu sistema, has operado en calma y siguiendo tu plan de trading y calmado, sin ningún tipo de alteración emocional. La tercera pregunta, ¿no crees que es un tema de probabilidades? Y es que probablemente en muchísimos casos es esto lo que ocurre. A mí me ha ocurrido esto. Yo he operado mi sistema, he operado mis reglas, pero mi sistema entró en un periodo, entre enero y junio, entró en un periodo de varianza negativa, no se acopló para nada mi sistema al mercado y le tocó perder al sistema simplemente. Eso me llevó a un gran drawdown y es simplemente un tema de probabilidades. Y luego lo último que comenta es, si es un tema de probabilidades, repetirías esos trades, repetirías esas operaciones, o sea, para que revises tu diario de trading, tus operaciones y veas que realmente en frío las hubieras ejecutado de nuevo, ¿vale? Me parece que es un proceso brillante seguir esta serie de pensamiento para identificar por qué, por dónde pueden venir esas pérdidas.
Okay. Boy, there is a little difference. It is a little difference. And remember, in trading, you're losing money to the caveman seeing through your eyes.
Bueno, aquí básicamente es lo que he dicho antes, ¿vale? Igual que ganar no significa que eres el mejor, que eres el amo, que eres el dios del trading. Igual que ganar no significa eso, porque has caído en el lado correcto de las probabilidades, probablemente, en el corto plazo. Perder tampoco significa que seas el peor como persona, el peor trader, nada de eso. Significa que has caído en un periodo negativo para tu sistema. Y el trading son probabilidades, es incertidumbre. Avanzo un poquito.
Which is uncertainty. That's a probability and uncertainty. And at the same time, what you have developed is what I call your inherent worth with uncertainty. And just go back to our evolutionary psychology only. Throw away all the psychology is that, and the giant wave of success that has come his way. But it's understand is that he separates himself as a human being from his performances. A loss is only a loss. Okay? It doesn't affect the human you are. So now we're getting this, and you're going, wow, wow, wow. I'm beginning to acknowledge this stuff. And here's the key problem, guys and folks, is that throw away all the psychology that we develop that doesn't work with uncertainty and just go back to our evolutionary psychology only. That brain that you're bringing that is wired for short-term survival, control of outcome in the short term, is not going to work in trading. Okay? Success in trading is grounded in the management of uncertainty, where winning and losing begin to take on completely different meanings than the way that our brains have wrapped around them. They say nothing about us as a human being. And that's what's going to have to happen. And the deal is, your performances are the one thing that you can control. And you can develop a mind that generates a superior performance. And if you do that, friends, the edge that you have through your methodology is going to extract more capital out of the markets than you give back. So bottom line, then you give back. So bottom
Hice una frase aquí importantísima y la podéis leer, que el éxito en el trading se basa en manejar la incertidumbre, donde los trades ganadores y los trades perdedores tienen diferentes significados, ¿vale? Ganar y perder no dicen nada acerca de tu valor como ser humano. Lo único que importa, y quedaos con esto importantísimo, es tu capacidad para manejar la incertidumbre. Si te manejas bien en el entorno de incertidumbre, podrás aplicar tu sistema en el medio y largo plazo y eso te llevará, lo más probable, a obtener resultados positivos. Punto.
give back. So bottom line, the problem, okay, not just from evolution, but also that we grew up in these competitive families and that we want to win, or we have a story about scarcity. Oh my God, I'm scared it's going to be taken from me. And then what happens is then you go into the thing, oh my God, if I risk, I could lose. And if I lose, oh dear, I then have to deal with the shame of not being good enough, of not being mattering, of not being worthy, of not being adequate. Okay, that's the deal. And that shame is so difficult to turn to and to master. We have done everything we can. We build all sorts of convenient alibis, convenient lies that take us away from dealing with the darkness that lives within us that triggers when we take a loss. And yet, that is where you learn to lose good. Okay, so we got the problem. Okay, we've just got a brain that doesn't work. And it produced a really good certainty of survival. But the thing is that it didn't do a certainty of long-term thriving. So we got that. We know we've got a problem that's not going to solve itself. That's the piece I want you to tell you. Ignoring it's not going to solve it. A new strategy is not going to solve it. What's going to solve it is you recognize that, hey, we just didn't get the brain. We didn't get the genetics lottery that produced a brain that could automatically play in the worlds of uncertainty. But it can be developed.
Vale, fijaos. Vuelvo un poco sobre lo mismo. Comenta que tenemos un cerebro que fue creado en otro momento histórico y que no está diseñado para manejarse en entornos de incertidumbre. Sin embargo, él comenta que puede desarrollarse esta habilidad, ¿vale? Para manejarnos en la incertidumbre.
You can, in fact, train that brain to be able to manage uncertainty. You take a look at this surfer right here. Most of the surfing photographs that you look at, you see this guy like he's really in control, coming down a big line, big, huge wave, and everything looks great. Well, what you're doing here is you're looking at a very competent surfer, but what happened is he's having to try. He's dealing with uncertainty. He does not know if he's going to get the great ride that he wants or not. What he does know is that he can bring a particular mind built for the performance of engaging uncertainty. That, my friends, is not natural. Okay? Some people are born with it. Some people finally learn it. Like my friend Mitch, he learned it. Okay? Most of us are also going to have to learn it, but we're our own worst enemies because we don't want to take a look at that. We want the problem to go away some other way. No, the solution is going through it. It can be taught. And my question is, how do you do it?
Los surferos también tienen incertidumbre, no saben si la próxima ola será la la buena, la que podrán coger, con la que tomar para ganar el campeonato o no, pero tienen una mente preparada para manejarse en ese entorno de incertidumbre y están preparados para el fracaso, para el fallo y para coger la ola, estar en el momento, psicológicamente, mentalmente, físicamente, estar preparados para coger la ola buena. Eso no es lo natural, ¿de acuerdo?
On uncertainty. It comes to an understanding of emotion and thinking. Because at the very, it's very common for me to still hear this really crazy notion that when you trade, you just leave your emotions at the door. You just shut them off. And what I've discovered is that doesn't work well. It sounds good. It sounds tough. It sounds like a good Monday morning quarterback in a chair. But the thing is you have an organic brain that is built for short-term survival. And what you're discovering is that all thinking is emotional state dependent. Okay? This is the point where you have to get it. You're going, oh, you mean if I ignore emotions, that doesn't mean that the thinking that I have is still clean? No, it's not. It's coming from suppressed emotions. The deal is, can you turn toward that fear of loss? And can you transform the belief that's behind there? So what we want to do is say, okay, if we make an assumption, it's the assumption I use, is that there is no differentiation between your biology, your brain, your emotional nature, your cognitive nature, and even your spirituality. It's all located in what appears to most people as a body and a brain. Get into quantum mechanics, you aren't so sure anymore, okay? The deal, though, is if you begin to say it, oh, all emotions are biological action potentials that really organize the relationship between the environment, the markets, and the organism, the trader. That's what they do. When they find a short-term solution to a problem, what they do, the brain will lock in that into neural pattern, and it becomes reinforced. It becomes what is known as hot wired, highly insulated, that so that when it triggers, it automatically takes over, and the message doesn't even get to the thinking brain. That's when people are saying, I don't know what happened, Randy. I mean, I was okay. And all of a sudden I was doing this wild, crazy stuff. That's because in the loss or the potential loss coming up, it triggered that, oh my God, I have a fear of loss. I had to fight. And it never, that information simply got blocked to go to the thinking brain. You're no longer in your strategy. You're no longer in your methodology. You are a bucking horse in a burning barn.
Fijaos, ha dicho muchas cosas, pero ha resaltado sobre todo la importancia de las emociones. De nuestras emociones, las emociones que sintamos, va a derivar en una serie de pensamientos y esos pensamientos nos van a hacer actuar de determinada manera. ¿Qué ocurre aquí? Que si nosotros tenemos un trade que nos va en contra, no estamos entrenados como traders, tenemos un trade que nos va en contra, lo que vamos a sentir, ¿cuál es nuestra emoción principal? El miedo. Y el miedo que nos va a hacer pensar, pues nos vamos a autosabotear. Vamos a pensar, no quiero perder dinero, odio perder, como sabemos que estamos programados por lo que hemos visto. Y como no quiero perder, ¿cuál es la actuación resultante de eso? De esa evitar la pérdida a toda costa. Pues la actuación es quitar los stops, piramidar en contra, añadir posiciones en contra, hacer martingalas, todo ese tipo de cosas que hacen que la mayoría de personas pierdan el trading. Todo viene por un proceso que viene hilado desde las emociones y nuestras creencias que tenemos. Y estas emociones o creencias, os recomiendo que leáis a Daniel Kahneman, a su libro Pensar rápido, pensar despacio, están dadas y están las tenemos en nuestro subconsciente y nos hacen actuar de manera automática. No actuamos normalmente de manera racional, pausada, pensando, no, actuamos de manera emocional y luego nos preguntamos, pero ¿por qué alejé este stop? ¿Por qué quité este stop? ¿Por qué añadí posiciones en contra? ¿Y por qué hice martingalas? Pues todo eso son respuestas automáticas por nuestra programación.
power struggles going on there. That doesn't work in trading, guys.
Bueno, y no me quiero alargar mucho más porque si no va a ser demasiado largo el vídeo, aunque ya lo está siendo. Pero básicamente, cómo solucionar todo este problema de las emociones en el trading. Él recomienda principalmente dos instrumentos, que podéis ver el vídeo al completo si queréis, que dura casi una hora. La primera técnica que recomienda es la respiración, ¿vale? Para bajar esas emociones, para calmar. Y la segunda es el mindfulness, como una metodología mucho más completa para tratar todo esto. Bueno, y hasta aquí el vídeo de hoy. Espero que os haya gustado, como os digo siempre. La verdad que si os gusta, por favor, hacedmelo saber, dadle un buen like a este vídeo. Es un nuevo formato que no había traído a este canal. Dejadme en comentarios si os gusta y apoyadme con un buen like, como digo. Suscribiros si aún no lo estáis y activad la campanita de notificaciones. Y lo que os digo siempre, si quieres transicionar tu vida, estás en el canal adecuado. Transiciónate.